Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake. Myself, Jake Storielli, producer BBD, going through the world of deportes. Baseball is obviously killing it. Those on the YouTube, I am flexing my left bicep right now. We got a little vein action, okay? Playoffs have been awesome. It's funny going back in hindsight, and I think it'd probably be funny going back to last year's Talkin Jakes or Talking Baseballs or whatever and being like, I'm sure we were locked in to the playoffs. In fact, I know we were locked into the playoffs. But the Texas Rangers were blowing teams out. The Snakes were running it up. Their comeback series against Philly was pretty cool, but it was also there's a lot of big leads early and stuff like that. This postseason has been incredibly dramatic. Even Yankees Royals game 1, which we'll get game 2 tonight, but that was back and forth every inning for a while. It was literally the most lead flips in a playoff game or some ish like that. The Mets are doing actual voodoo or something at this point, but they got out voodooed at the end by the fighting Phillies. The Dodgers-Padres series is living up to every part of that billing, although I do think have some hotter takes on that end of the spectrum. And the rude way to end it, Cleveland and Detroit are playing. Although I still have hope for my Tigers. Everyone else has kind of run away. And we did run into the creepy neighbor comparison for the Cleveland Guardians. That we can explain that further in a little bit. Also, at the end of this show, highlight what was a pretty sick college football weekend. Go Doors. Historic win over Alabama. And then we'll go through the football weekend that finishes tonight with some Saints at the Chiefs. We will start with the baseball. I think I tend to lean when the Yankees are an option starting there, but let's land there. How about that? Because we got more action last night from the National League. Padres-Dodgers. Padres answer back. After game 1, which I think everyone did a head tilt of like, the Padres were sneaky the favorites in this series. Like, I don't know what Vegas actually had the money at, but everyone fell in love with the Padres. Their lineup is sick and has stars. Their starting pitchers, which we still get sucked into the postseason, and then a wipe-end bullpen. I do think they were generally the favorite around baseball against the Dodgers. And whether Vegas agreed with that or if it was just commentator, when you laid it all out there and what you really think is important come playoff time, it felt like the Padres had the whole recipe, or maybe the Dodgers were missing a little bit. Throw that in with wild card teams having a little bit more success under this new format. I think if not a coin flip, Padres may be a slight lean from the baseball community. And what happens? Dodger starter gets knocked around. Yamamoto, 3 innings, 5 earned runs. Okay, here we go. This is what we're talking about. Thing is, the Dodgers can do that, and they could do more, and they showed it. And they have some very good guys in their bullpen. Blake Trinan almost made our resident Padres fan, Ryan Cohen, angrier than I thought I could see that human. He's seen a lot of sweepers over the last 5 years, it seemed like, that have hurt his soul. Now, it did take kind of a heroic effort out of Trinan. He throws 39 pitches that probably had him out of last night's game. Not that it became a factor. Maybe he could have come in. Who knows? But it ended up not becoming a problem because the Padres gave it to him. So closing out that game 1, Dodgers looked like the Dodgers. Ohtani hits not an all-time homer, but down 3, tied at 3, game 1 against your division rivals. You're that guy. And then they continue to go. They outscore them 7-5, and you're like, that's right. Maybe the Padres shouldn't have kind of been the favorite or even a coin flip because the Dodgers won more game, and they have stars, and they're going to find a way to pitch, and people are overlooking that bullpen IMO. The Padres come back and answer, and it's led by Fernando Tatis, who his playoff numbers, he's, okay, shots fired to Dodgers fans, he's reverse Kershawing. He's 1.5ing in his postseason career, which is now like 45 at bats. Like it's not like a 5-game weekend. Like it's He's been playing, and he's been raking. So he goes yard in the first to set the tone after they lose. Because if you go down 2-0, it doesn't make it impossible, but it makes it just really hard. Even though in this series, I said this on Talkin Baseball, I don't think it would have been over. He sets the tone with that one. David Peralta, the freight train. Let me find the splits because I haven't actually done them. But I know he got started off. Oh, Freddie Peralta's page comes up. Sorry, Brewers fans. Still kind of fresh, huh? And my guy, Ryan Russillo, always shout him out. He has baseball in his soul, but he kind of has to hide it because there's so much basketball and football he does. He did a very passionate speech on how brutal that is for Brewers fans to watch 162 games in a full season, be front runners, and kind of have it in the ninth inning with your guy on the mound. Like, I know we did this, but God, it's part of what makes baseball beautiful and so sucky at the same time. So sucky. David Peralta, let me do my best. Splitty split. Since July 3rd, so July, August, September, 3 months of the baseball season, this guy was 287, 345, and 817 OPS. Like, that's a middle-of-the-lineup guy who was another part of the reason the Padres had a really strong regular season. He hits a 2-run homer to go up 3-0. That's important because the Padres were up 3-0 in that first game. So if you blow that, Mookie hits one out of the park in the first, but it's robbed by Profar, who kind of pimps it. And then we've got people being emotional in the stands. Dodgers had a couple rallies. Merrill makes a great catch. Tatis makes a great catch. Line out to first with the bases juicy. And then we saw this rivalry kicking in the bad way. Can't throw stuff on the field. It's just a no-go. I know it's a few bad eggs, and there's a lot of Dodger fans out there today like, those are just idiots. Like, I know some Yankees bleacher people have done stuff, and we're like, dude, they're just dumb college kids. But it's the whole fan base. You got to wear that, and you can't do that. But, man, this got heated. Flaherty and Machado yelling at each other. It's everything you want in a playoff series. My hot take, I think it's San Diego's. I picked them coming into this. I think they have the leg up in Game 3. Buehler hasn't been Walker Buehler this year. He's shown a couple signs recently. He's not even that Walker Buehler, but could he grind through 5 playoff innings? Absolutely. I've seen it. Michael King is coming off the most dominant start of the postseason. The Padres have the momentum. They're going to be going back home. And the thing for me that I can't shake that is probably bad logic, but I think if the Padres win 3, they're going to win 4. I don't think they're going to allow them to go back to L.A. We saw the Phillies do this to the Braves a couple times. It's eerily similar. And currently Landon Knack is lined up for Game 4. That with that San Diego crowd and the dudes in that lineup, baseball is not a prediction sport. It's near impossible. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. And watch as Ohtani, Mookie, and Freddie hit back-to-back-to-back off Kinger in the first. No, I would never wish that on Mike King. We love Mike King. That series is electric. Must watch whenever you can the rest of the way. For the other National League series, Mets, Phils, copy and paste. Without too much of the heated stuff, although did we ever get anything about the Brandon Nimmo talking to JT Realmuto? Is that on Jim's radar? Does anyone care?
I saw one guy that isn't Jimmy do a lip read saying, like,
Wow.
trying to say, like, it was when Sanchez is getting out. Nimmo's not a shit talker anyway.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors there.
Nimmo's mouth kind of weird.
Somebody put the video in front of Jimmy today.
Everyone agreed that it'll happen at some point. But man, the miracle Mets who get shut down by Wheeler, and you've seen it in baseball 1,000 times. That shutdown starting pitcher goes, and there's nothing you can do against them. Doesn't matter who's coming out of the bullpen. It could be Class A this year. It could be Prime Mo. Just seeing a new face and getting a new result somehow, some way, changes the whole energy. That's what happens. They put up 5 runs in that inning, 2-0 to 5-2. They get an insurance run. The Mets take Game 1 without using Diaz, and it just feels like they have their formula. Like they're going to pitch enough, and they're never out of the game. If there's 2 strikes, 2 outs, it does not matter. They'll be involved. So it goes to the next game, and it's Sanchez getting the start, not Nola, which I think the Phillies were lining up as, for Sanchez getting this playoff start, let's do it at home. He's been really good. And Nola, the experienced veteran at this point, we can have him on the road. And if you ended up going down 0-2, you got Nola waiting, which Sanchez for the playoff start. So the Phillies, they have usually a slightly unique, cool formula, and that's because they have a lot of unique, talented baseball players. That in this game, Mark Vientos, welcome to the national stage, building off an incredible rookie year. He goes 2-run dong, Oppo in the second or third there. And Luis Severino's holding it, and I'll be honest, I kind of bet against Sevy. Not a lot, just kind of, a little parlay. Phillies, sure, whatever. I thought Schwarbs would get him for sure, not to be rude to Sevy. Sevy was amazing. Great start for him and good for him. Love Sevy, really do. And I think he's going to get himself a nice little contract coming up here. And he makes it. He makes it into the sixth, but the bad man is waiting. Zeros on the scoreboard. Harper gets him with the 2-run shot, 99-mile-per-hour fastball, dead center field. The energy that guy plays with, it makes Yankees fans jealous about twice a year. Unless we actually do something this year, then we could put it in our rear view. But the vim and vigor and energy that guy has while being one of the stars of the game, it's just tough to match. There's not much comparable to it. And then Castellanos, 3 pitches from Sevy. Here's your shutout. Here's 3 runs, tied game. The Mets aren't dead. Obviously not. This game flips back and forth just like every game this postseason, just like every Mets game this postseason. As Nimmo breaks up the tie, as we mentioned, talked to JT Realmuto a little bit. It was a weird exchange. And then Bryson Stott rejoins the party, 2-run triple. And again, like Harper almost enters, you got to pitch around him if it's not the right at-bat that allows him and even Castellanos to get the walk-off in the ninth. That was usurped, not a word, by the Mark Vientos other 2-run homer in the ninth off of Matty Strom. Matt Strom, just want to check in on his regular season. In 62.2 innings, he had a 1.87 ERA. And Vientos and the Mets could not care less. And when you get to the postseason, your stats reset. So, like I mentioned, Castellanos ends up getting the walk-off off of McGill because they used Diaz in the middle of the lineup. He doesn't look super sharp. He ends up getting the blown save in this game while McGill gets the loss. Harper not being able to pitch to him, and McGill gets him to a 3-2 count trying to pitch around him, which is impressive in its own. But then he walks him. And Castellanos officially hot. And we've seen it. It was funny, last postseason, he got so hot and so cold so quick. He was like the star of the postseason for it was like 2 games, and then it was like he was the most slumping player in the postseason. It's a weird sport, people, and that's part of the reason we love it. This tees up for now a 3-game set as well. I don't know. I have the Phillies as the fave because I don't have them losing 2 in a row at City. But people didn't have the Snakes coming back against them. That's why it's not a prediction sport. But I have them at least bringing it back to the bank, and maybe that's good for the Mets, because they are sick puppies that as long as they have a chance in that game, I've seen them shut down a couple crowds. I've seen them shut down Atlanta. I've seen them shut down Milwaukee. You can't say they are out of anything yet. But it felt like Philly rejoined the party last night. And God, that Mets crowd. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of the hostility that we saw in LA and San Diego come out in Queens, New York in October with the Phillies. Oh my God, the Phillies fans in the stands. We're going to have.
Mets haven't had a home game during this run yet.
I don't support these. You're going to see brawl videos. Like, that's just where we're at. And you're going to see some amazing baseball. So that's on the American League side. The series everyone's being slightly rude to that kicks off at 4 o'clock today, so even MLB being slightly rude to them. The Tigers and the Guard Dogs. Tiger Mania went away quick, didn't it? The Tigers, best record for a month and a half. They took out the Houston Astros. And then after one game, one inning, really, everyone's out on the kiddies. The Guard Dogs put up a 5 in that first inning. Could have went different. McKinstry fields a ground ball, or that never happens because Ramirez gets punched out on strike 3. Who knows? The game script of baseball can change a lot in a hurry. That everyone's moved on. I think it comes back tonight. I am not done with these Tigers. And that shouldn't be such a hot take with Tarek Skubal on the bump, who was 6 innings scoreless against Houston in his playoff debut. There's going to be shadows in Cleveland. Don't be surprised if there's a lot of zeros on the scoreboard. The joke I made on Talking Baseball, I think I might bet this game 1-0 either way. That might be how it goes down. Beauty of baseball, you could see another 5 in the first. I'm not done with the Tigers. I just think Skubal is the Cy Young winner. They could very easily win this game and not like a surprise, like, oh my God. Like, no. Skubal can shut them down. And they can do enough on offense. We saw it against Framber. We've seen it for a month and a half now, coming up on 2, that I believe in sports. I believe in pink. You'll feel a little bit more of this when I talk about the college game. Detroit is such a sports city that has been thirsty for success for so long. Look how hot to trot they are about the Lions, who have been a historically bad franchise. Those Tigers teams that didn't get it done, that ended up like resetting the franchise because they put so much money into that team and then they had to rebuild because it got old. The Tigers are in the postseason. They've got the magic of baseball behind them. If they win with Skubal, I think that place is going to be an absolute loony bin. Oakland Athletic proportions. Probably not vuvuzelas and stuff like that. With all that being said, do it tonight. Matthew Boyd's numbers this year were really good. He's getting the start for Cleveland. There's going to be a lot of zeros on the scoreboard. The over-under is 5.5. That's as low as you've seen this season. So I'm not done with the Tigers. Win today. You got Skubal. You have Will Vest. Maybe that's their formula. Might just be Skubal to Vest today. Get it done. Get it to Detroit with a chance to let baseball kick in and let a home field advantage that Detroit as a building. Sure, those games later in the season started to get more packed. An October game in Detroit, absolute loony bin. Get me there. Cleveland, if you hated all that, well, your compliment is the weird thing we mentioned on Talking Baseball. Trev nailed it. You guys are the weird neighbor. Nothing wrong with you. You haven't done anything too offensive. I jump to you're kind of a scrawny guy. You're always wearing a hoodie and jeans, 5'9", kind of skinny. And you're like, I don't know, like someone brings up that guy in a fight and you're like, that guy? I don't know. And then you're like, dude, he trains American Ninja Warrior. He put 2 dudes in a headlock at a PTA meeting. And you're like, oh, it kind of makes sense. Like the one time you saw him and like he was in the garage and he just was covered in veins. And you're like, wow, I saw him catch a squirrel with his bare hands. Like Cleveland is kind of a sicko team. They have very much enough in the lineup. They play great defense. My God, if Cleveland does go on a run, I hope the highlight is their defense up the middle. Bring that back to the sport. Rocchio and Jimenez up the middle. Quan in the outfield. Basically, whoever they put out there is going to play some form of defense. I hope more of that comes back to baseball. I still want to ban shifting the outfield so we get more doubles and more athletic defenders. That's for another time. We'll wrap up the baseball with the New York Yankees, babe. They play Game 2 tonight after surviving a Game 1 against the Royals that All of their bugaboos showed up at one point in time. Stanton not being able to run, Glaber being bad at running, the defense, bullpen usage. They end up getting through it. Luke Weaver looks great on the back end. The Yankees win game 1 at home. Thank God with the layoff the next day. If they didn't, just ruins like 2 days. Like every conversation.
Down 1 with up to 2 Reagan's games still left, like him specifically.
Right.
And I think Casey's saying similar things. They were bad versus lefties too.
Sure. So it's Rodon versus Reagan's tonight. A couple R's who throw L. It's going to be a fun one. Rodon coming off of his tough season where he got his body in shape. He had a really solid year for the Yankees this year. And it all built up for this start. He was the guy they brought in to be the 2 with Cole. He was the guy when they re-signed Judge that it was like, hey, this team needs more. Okay, let's get this guy. He's really good. Huge start for Rodon while the Yanks take on Reagan's, who he is great. Behind maybe Skubal, one of the best young lefties in baseball. Let's see what he has for them. The Yanks struggled against lefties early on in the year. Jazz Chisholm, who is lefties, a little better versus lefties. The Stanton stuff was weird all year. Gleyber Torres, who picked it up in the second half, he is good against lefties this year. So they have more of a chance than they did early on in the year, but Cole Reagans is a guy. And I think this is the one for Kansas City. I think this is the one, when you come in, you're facing the Yankees, Garrett Cole, fresh bullpen. I'm not saying the Royals chalked it up as a loss. It's a game they almost won a couple times. But this is the one like, hey, we got some statistics on our side. We're a game deeper into the postseason. We saw the Bronx. Bobby Witt doesn't do anything that first game. Wouldn't be surprised if he bounces back. They had a couple balls go to the wall. A couple balls hit hard in the first inning. They had a few, the Jazz Chisholm, the game-scoring run probably was out at second base, but they couldn't review it and overturn it. Thank you. If I'm a KC fan, I wasn't stoked with how game 1 went down, but it's also like, whoa, we can win game 2, kind of easily. Reagan's, 1 or 2 of the lefties get it to Urseg. They have their recipe, and the Yankees. If this was what I was doing for clicks or a breakout or whatever. It's either Yankees big for me tonight, like Rodon special, Stanton gets closer on a couple balls, Judge gets closer on a couple balls, and it happens, or it's Kansas City close. Again, it's just not how the sport works. So I'm not doing that, but that's how I feel. Like if Kansas City's in this late, they need this game. They have the speed, the defense that the Yankees do not. Or I think, there is a chance, and it was funny listening to my guy Ryan Russillo, who has Boston roots, and was kind of like, he did something with Adnan Virk talking about baseball, said pass and canceled on him. Tough. Oh, Jeff. It was funny, Adnan opened up with it because he was like, I appreciate it. You guys reached out to me yesterday. Who canceled? And he was just like, passing. So that's life. That's how it works sometimes. But it was funny hearing, because around our office, there's a lot of Yankee fans, and everyone's kind of been like, hey, the path's pretty good. Like, Houston's out. It's AL Central. The Yankees have a really good record against the AL Central. Like, the path is there. Like, let's go Yanks. I know it's baseball, but that's it. And it was funny hearing a little bit more of a Boston tone come out and being like, if the Yanks don't do it this year. And it's funny because we think that way, but we're just not saying it yet. The Yanks' path is laid out. That I'm hoping, and this is obvious as there's a Derek Jeter poster behind me, that Judge or Stanton, one of the big dog lets it eat tonight, Rodon's dominant, that this is the start of being like, the New York Yankees are actually going to go to the World Series. I hope it's business-like. I hope it's dominant. Reminder, I'm a Yankees fan. Sorry to all my Royals brothers and sisters that are tuning in, because you're hoping it's business like the other way, that Salvi and Bobby both go yard. Vinny finds the porch. I just think the Yanks have an actual chance to make it business-like, powerful. The Yanks are here. You could put the lefty stuff out the window. Let's play a clean game. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be anxious, and we'll be live streaming tonight. So make sure you guys tune in. Talkin Yanks. It's a lot of fun. The live streams are a lot of fun. So, as I mentioned, college football, and this is the beauty of sports. College football last weekend was supposed to be one of their meh weeks. Like they didn't have the huge matchup. And as college football always has a way, College Game Day was at Cal Berkeley for the first time. Caught some of it. It's a good show. They have fun. The college kids are crazy. I still kind of don't get it. I mean, maybe it's part of me not going to a big school. But the Cal kids set up overnight because the show starts at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is 6 a.m. West Coast. So they said kids were set up at midnight. So do they just drink? Are there bathrooms? I don't fully get it. I'm interested. I'm sure I would have been there. And I actually want to mention that game in a minute. But there wasn't the big one. There wasn't the top 5 matchup, which if you look at college football this upcoming week, there's actually a couple big boy ones on the weekend. There's Bedlam, Texas, Oklahoma. Went to that game once. Good time. Flex. USC, Penn State. USC not ranked. Number 2, Ohio State versus number 3, Oregon. That's the big one in Oregon. Ole Miss, LSU, 9 versus 13. So, this weekend was lining up to be the weekend. And yet last weekend became the weekend. Vanderbilt beats Alabama. So I am married into a Vandy family. Jess went to Vanderbilt. This is a true quote, not embellished at all. Because I was watching College Game Day and Jess popped by and she was actually entertained by it. She was kind of like, "Hey, this is good. Who's that guy yelling?" McAfee. Explained some of the football, baseball rollover. She's like, Who's that other guy? I was like, "That's Marshawn Lynch. He's awesome." Cal guy came in as their guest picker. So the bottom line, it's got the games coming up, who's playing. And it's Alabama, Vanderbilt. So I go, "Oh, Jess, Bama versus Vandy today." And she goes, "Why?" And I was like, "Okay. I mean, be careful with the mansplain here, Jake." But I was like, they're both in the SEC. They play every couple years, and that's how this works. And I didn't go into any of that. I just laughed. And she was like, "That's not even fair." Welcome to sports. The Vanderbilt Commodores beat Alabama. They get a lead on them, and then it hits that scary part of college football where it's like, okay, Bama's coming now, huh? They hold them off. Vanderbilt wins, a historic moment for their football program. The Nick Saban quote that had been going around a couple weeks before that of everywhere in the SEC is tough to play except Vanderbilt. Man, it just kind of goes to show, if you just kind of asked me how, and I was like, that's, again, you're not going to get a great answer. But I was like, it's everything turns into different levels of motivation. You have to have a certain level of skill. Vanderbilt football still brings in SEC athletes. Motivation, whether it's from those quotes or Bama just coming off having beat Georgia, which is the game they had circled all year, that their motivation was down going into the place that everyone said it's easy to play in the SEC. And sometimes college football and sports finds a way. So that was a magical one. They take down the goalpost. They carry it all the way through downtown and throw it in the river. It's listed as a 55-minute walk. A city that doesn't need that much of a turbo boost got it that night. Pretty cool for them. And I believe in the rest of college football, 5 of the top 11 dropped. Tennessee lost to Arkansas, who Arkansas has a couple really unlucky or tough losses this year, I'll say. They take down number 4 Tennessee. The Miami game. So college games days in Cal. It's a crazy environment. It's always funny seeing the schools. Cal had 5 different cheers. That's where McAfee was being really funny on game day. Whenever there was a moment, he would just break into one of their different cheers, and he's like, "I love it. I can't believe how many different things these nerds got going on here." And so Miami, number 8 in the country. The U, kind of back. A couple scary close games, including this one where they were down, I want to say it was 39-18 or 17. Well, college football reared its head in the bad way. Miami gets 3 scores. There's a couple controversial plays that Cal Berkeley. So this moment in Vanderbilt that Jess is giving me speeches about how she understands sports more from this game. I'm like, okay, whoa. Cal, they're hosting College Game Day for the first time. You know, they have some history. Cal Stanford, the game. They've got Aaron Rodgers, Marshawn Lynch. You know, they're a nerdy school, a la Vanderbilt, that, you know, plays football in a big conference that sometimes they have good years. A lot of times they don't. They're hosting game day. They're hosting Miami as an ACC team. Cal in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Just a reminder where college football has gone there. They end up blowing 3-score lead late. Incredibly brutal. A 24-hour day for a lot of Cal fans that could have went down and was a quarter away from going down as one of the great days in Cal football history. It goes the other way as number 8 Miami steals it. Number 9 Missouri lost to Texas A&M. They got routed. Texas A&M's been looking for a signature win for a long time. Washington, unranked, takes down number 10 Michigan. And USC, they lose to the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. So, yeah, it's where college football gets their wins. That kind of anything can happen on any day, and we saw that a little bit. Kind of a cool story forming with Indiana. Never been known for their football program, really. They're 6-0, and their coach had the quote the other week that said, like, I want to get it right. He said, Google me. I'm a pretty good coach, or I just win. Let me get it right. Indiana football coach, Google me, quote. So if you got a coach, all right, Kurt Signetti, I win, Google me. Hey, man, that's he's 119-35 in his 41-year coaching career. So Kurt believes in what he does, and he's got a non-traditional football power doing some powerful things. So that's pretty cool. So a crazy Saturday, 4 playoff games, college football, college footballing. It all leads us into some NFL. And I'm probably not going to be as deep as I normally get. Just because Sunday was crazy too. I mean, Sunday there was playoff baseball. Talkin Giants had a live event that I was at, but it was kind of different to appreciate football the same way. Starts off on Thursday night. Thursday night unders, right? Divisional game unders, right? Wrong. 36-30. Kirk Cousins, 509 through the air. Crazy day for him. Drake London, Mooney. I mean, this is Kyle Pitts in the mix, 7 for 88. This is the Atlanta Falcons that they dreamed of when they heard that they were getting Kirk Cousins and drafting a first-round quarterback. People forget. And hey, the Bucks were in it till the end. Baker, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Rashad White and Bucky Irving are a sneaky, nice little backfield combo. Mike Evans, 2 touchdowns, and that's obvious. The third touchdown, 1 catch, 4 yards, touchdown for Sterling Shepard on your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How do you like that? So that was a fun one to get into the week. Both those teams are now 3-2. And I think the 2 teams competing for that division will find out if the Saints or how much they'll be in the mix, playing the Chiefs tonight. Getting into the rest of the week, I normally save them for last, or sometimes I miss them because they pop up at the top of my page, even though they don't play in chronological order. My Denver Ponies, the Broncos, baby, we're back. The Denver Broncos are 3-2. They beat the Raiders. Bo Nix with another clean game. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. 206 yards, not crazy, but no mistakes. Williams and McLaughlin combined to do enough out of the backfield. Williams was actually the leading receiver after and followed by Lil Jordan Humphrey. Great name. Just 10-10 name. And yeah, the Raiders seem to be swirling the wrong direction. They've got a Devontae Adams question looming. They may have a quarterback question looming as Aiden O'Connell comes in for Minshew in this game. God, Madison with one of the tougher running back stat lines you'll see. But Brock Bowers kind of emerging as a young star in this lead. 8 for 97, 1 touchdown. There's a big pick six in this game where the Raiders would have went up, I think it would have been 17-3. Instead, pick six, tie game. Broncos turn it on and go from there. Where am I at with my Broncos? How about this? Next week should be like a must-watch for me. Who do we got? We got the Chargers. We're hosting the Chargers. I'm in. Chargers favored by 3. They have their bye week this week. That would make sense. They do have their bye week. So that's a little tough, but let's see. We had our first London game. Let's go. And it was the New York Jets against the Minnesota Vikings. And it was looking like it was going to get ugly. Vikings are putting it on them 17-0. They get the ball back. 2-minute drill. Let's go up big. Let's end this game. Jetta. They don't. They end up punting. Jets get the score before the half. It's 17-7, and the Vikings couldn't get it going again. Aaron Jones gets hurt. That slowed down their offense. And the Jets just kept doing enough to stay alive and stay alive and stay alive. Rodgers intercepted on their final desperation drive. Jets offense was never humming by any degree. Although Garrett Wilson, 13 catches, 101 and a touchdown. So him and Rodgers maybe getting that connection going on. Let's see. But the Vikings going into their bye week are 5-0. The Jets are 2-3. I wouldn't be surprised if we're doing a Jets. Okay, Jets are 2-3. Jets are 4-3. Jets are 4-3. Jets are 4-5. Like, that's kind of how their schedule lines up, and that's just kind of how the team feels right now. And they got to be careful with Rodgers, man. He's starting to get really banged up, and he is an older statesman. So that was the London game. Bears rout the Panthers. Good for Caleb. Full day. DJ Moore starting to find it this season. 2 touchdowns, 105. So maybe the Bears are coming 3-0 at home, while the Panthers turning back into a Panther pumpkin a bit. Dolphins, Patriots, no. Although the Patriots almost essentially win it on the last drive of the game. Out of bounds. Dolphins 15-10. Huntley with enough to get it done. Stevenson for fantasy owners has enough of a day. Good. One of the stories that I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to end up being a week earlier than everyone, but it's the talk of the town. Talk of the town. The Commanders. The Commanders are 4-1. They hang another 34 points against the Browns, who, sure, they are sprinting the wrong direction, but just another game with Jaden Daniels in control. Scary Terry over 100 through the air. Jaden had 82 on the ground. The Browns are a disaster. I saw one clip of Deshaun walking off when Stefanski was telling him to go for it. Like, that was, things in Cleveland with Deshaun. We're hitting, my Broncos hit a tipping point with Russ, and they actually didn't. They actually kind of bounced back and were in contention. They blew a game late that took him out, so they benched Russ so he wouldn't meet his numbers so they could get rid of him. Like, let's be honest, the Deshaun experiment is over. Like, what are we doing at this point? Like, who thinks it's going to turn around? No one in that locker room. I guess if you're someone that does, keep that receipt. And if they do, sick, but God, that's getting bad. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they get a win on the board, 37-34. I didn't realize it even got that close. A lot of guys with big fantasy days in there. Cam Little with the game-winning field goal. Great. Don't really care. Hey, good for the Jags for getting one on the board. They should have probably had a win earlier this season. Colts were missing like 9 starters, so really not that impressive. But 0-5 just really stings. Good for them. This was another fun one. The Bills and the Texans. The reuniting of Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. Side-eye after the game. Stroud hits Nico Collins early, which Nico Collins, the Texans receivers, nobody knew what to do with them coming into the season. looks like that guy is a guy. He breaks free again. Stroud ends up with 331. The Bills rally a comeback in the second half. Falls just short due to a 59-yard Kaimi Fairbairn field goal. That's right, 59. The field goals are absurd. Although this weekend did have a few more kicker misses. How about the Cardinals? They sneak up on the Niners. This one kind of seemed like, okay, Niners got a lead early. They go up 23-10 heading into the half. They've been leaving a couple touchdowns out there that they've been trading in for field goals. Jake Moody, 28-yard field goal. Jake Moody, 20-yard field goal. Mitch Wisnowski, 26-yard field goal. Those are nothing. I can make those. That means you're in the red zone tight and you're not scoring touchdowns, which left Arizona Cardinals into this game. Kyler, man, he has a couple moments. He had the 50-yard run to get it started for them in the first. And then they get the touchdown in the 2 in the 4th to get the game-winning field goal. Niners drop to 2-3. Lose at home to the Arizona Cardinals. They are missing a lot of bodies right now. They are at the Seahawks, who just had a brutal loss to the G-Men, that they're going to get their A game. I don't know, hitting a weird part of the season. The San Francisco Niners, who we expect to be a power, missing some bodies, not feeling as powerful. I mentioned the Giants. How about them? No Malik Neighbors, no problem, because they have Tyrone Tracy Jr. I was interested to find out, and Daniel Jones plays a great game. Like 23 of 34, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Looked crisp. Darius Big Play Slayton, 8 catches for $122 and 1 touchdown. Wandale in some big spots. Both tailbacks, Tyrone Tracy and Gray, both had moments of kind of being explosive. I was surprised, and I didn't know if it was just natural Giants hate or if I hadn't seen it a lot. Tyrone Tracy subbing in for Singletary this season, I kind of like what I saw in a non-joking way. I kept telling Giants fans before the game, I was like, I like Tyrone Tracy today. And Pennick was like laughing in my face. Sorry, Talkin Giants fans. Wow. Pennick apologized. 18 carries, 129 yards. They were dictating the run game to Seattle. It looked like they were kind of honing in on Jones. And Tracy did his thing. So, a nice win for them. And the phrase from Pennick after the game, and how quickly do the Seahawks go from 3-0, look at these Seahawks, to 3-2. They lost at home to the Giants. Justin Pennick was saying the Giants have kind of dominated 4 out of 5 games. Commanders, if they had a kicker, they win. Cowboys, I wouldn't say they dominated, but they were in it. And then Vikings.
You could argue they outplayed, sure.
Vikings routed them in week 1, and look where the Vikings are at. But yeah, this Giants season could feel just a little bit different. They've got an interesting one with the Bengals, who they played probably the game of the day versus the Ravens, 41-38, Ravens. Joe Burr and Lamar were both putting on an absolute show. 4 touchdowns, 348 from Lamar, 392 and 5 touchdowns from Burrow. Derrick Henry with the long of 51 yards. And yeah, we had some kicks at the end of this one. McPherson misses it. I'd be telling you the Bengals are back. They take down the Ravens. They're 2-3 and they're on their way. They're 1-4. That is a serious hole. Jamar Chase, 193. That dude is a problem. Love both of these teams. You guys know I was drinking the Ravens Kool-Aid with Pennick last week. I think the way they can run the ball with Henry, Lamar, Justice Hill, and how that opens up for the passing game and their formula. Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, Harbaugh, in on them. Bengals, no one's going to write off. You can't for whatever reason. But, God, if the G-men were to, it's interesting quick. Packers, Rams, going to be honest, didn't get a ton of this one. Trevor Plouffe was at the game, tweeted him. He'd love that. Kyron, 100 on the ground, great. Saw the one bad interception by Jordan Love. Can't do that. And then it all ends late or early on Monday morning because we get a rain delay in Pittsburgh. And this is one where I just don't know how Vegas does it. I don't know how the world does it, but Cowboys driving late. Steelers kind of survived this game. Ugly offense. Probably Fields' worst game. Pickens is missing. They can't get a lot going on, but they stay in the game. And that's what Tirico and Collinsworth are talking about. This is what the Steelers do. They stay alive. They find a way. And they find a way. They score the touchdown to go up late in this one. Let's see. Let me get the times for you. Freiermuth. Nice little shovel play. 4:56 left on the clock. And it's too much time. Cowboys drive down the field. Clock's ticking. They're handling it well. They get down to the 1. It looks like they're going to get in clean. They botch the snap. They go back to like the 4-yard line. Incomplete pass. One play to win it. Dak to Jalen Tolbert, who barely was having some problem with his biscuits the play before, comes across the field, gets open. Dak kind of puts it in the one spot he has to win the game. Dallas Cowboys go to 3-2, 3-0 on the road, making that final play where Pittsburgh would have been 4-1 and said they are also 3-2. And yeah, just crazy. Before the game, I was kind of just like bored and sick of the rain delay, and I think this is part of it. I think they get more bets if you delay a game. Whatever. I don't know. Sunday Night Football.
It's a theory.
There was rain. I saw it. I saw the wet steps. Yeah, I don't know. Steelers minus 2.5. They're there. They're not. How much money did that move in Vegas? I think the popular money was on Dallas, so again, it would go against a rigged theory. But it's just crazy how many games actually come down to stuff like that. Tolbert has one bobble, gets tackled there. It doesn't happen. Steelers win a game. I wonder how much they're going to feel that one later in the year because it has felt like they've been playing with a little bit of devil's magic in Pittsburgh. Well, Dallas, game on. Tolbert, he looked really good. So yeah, I guess I caught more NFL action than I thought this week. Again, live streaming Talkin Yanks tonight. Live streaming tomorrow night. Live streaming all playoffs. And we will be back here Wednesday talking about all of it. Subscribe. Uncle Dan.
Talkin Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.